My name is Jim Ward, and I do a lot of things. I do music, and I do some business stuff, and I travel, and I eat, and I hang out. I started playing instruments when I was 12. So before that, skateboarding and playing with my friends. I sort of got involved in the punk rock scene when I was young. Probably because I wasn't very good at sports, or skateboarding and punk rock back then were really intertwined. The cool thing about punk rock is that anybody can do it, and there's no rules. There's some rules, I'm sure, but basically it wasn't like being in school band where I had to go and sit in a classroom and be told that I was doing it right or wrong. It was just sort of about energy and emotion, and I think for me that's sort of the freedom of music and the fun part of it is what's kept me around. We used to go on tour, and we would always have like the hometown show before we left, and nobody would ever go. Like, we would play to nobody, 2-3 people, and then we would go on tour. And we were playing to more people in other cities than we were in El Paso. I mean, people will notice when At the Drive-In got big, we stopped. And that was because we couldn't exist in that format. And we tried again in 2012, and same thing. As much as we love each other and we love the band, something about being successful in that band doesn't work. And I don't know why, none of us know why, it's a mystery. I didn't ever want to be famous, or I didn't want my band to be big. When we went to a bigger label, I had an ulcer. Like, every time we would make these decisions to go to the next step, even though it was a natural progression, it was really hard for us to sort of come to terms with it. I was lucky to be around some really good people that cared about me and not about the success that I brought them. I was also surrounded by some people that were very concerned with their income based on my work. And that is troubling, and it does real damage to people, I think. I remember when our video went on MTV2 and became kind of like a thing, played it a lot. And I came home from that tour and people treated me different. This industry pushes you to be self-centered. Selflessness is probably like one of the best things to learn. If you broke down and yelled at the other guys, they're not gonna get your back when you're playing a show and your amp breaks, or somebody's messing with you in the crowd. It has to be this like really tight unit of selfless love, and it's hard to explain, but I'm super sorry. To sort of keep going about what happens with that journey is that it gets packaged, and they take the emotion out of it, and it becomes a product. I understand that it has to be put in a box and put on a shelf and sold. But obviously there's a whole world behind that is also amazing, that you can't put in a box, Even me talking about it, it's like I would never be able to explain that stuff. It's just it's craziness. But it's great. I've never regretted anything. Not one, nothing. I think all these things are puzzle pieces. And when you put the puzzle together, that's your life. And I have a tattoo on my hands that says life is to live. That's it. That's what life is for. It's just to live. I wanted to do stuff here that was good, just selfishly. I wanted a bar I could hang out at. I wanted to do it with friends. I wanted to play music that I wanted to play at the bar. I wanted to not be surrounded by mean people. So, and then the Tricky Falls, we wanted to have a place to play and have a place to, we had a list of bands when we started. It was very movie-esque. We sat down and we're like, let's name 10 bands that we want to play here, and we've gotten a few of them. We've had some amazing experiences there, and I think it's a genuine reflection of the people who support us. And I have this real chip on my shoulder when people say it's good for El Paso. Like, that drives me bonkers, because it's either good or it's not good. There's no good for El Paso. Like, if you're gonna make a good documentary, make a good documentary. Don't make a good documentary for your age group. Like, make a good documentary. If you're gonna be in a band, be in a good band. Don't be in a good band for El Paso. There's always gonna be an excuse. There's always gonna be a way out, and there's always gonna be an easier path. If you're really obsessed with doing something, then you're going to find a way to do it. And to me, the destructive thing is when people put, not goals. Goals are good, but when they put standards to their success. I think if your goal is to make movies, then make movies. It's simple, you know? If your goal is to be in a band, be in a band. If you want to make records, make records. There's ways to do it. If you have to work, I mean, I was a graveyard shift waiter at Village Inn when I was 20 years old to save enough money so that I could pitch in so that we could get the gas to get to the first show. And it would have been really easy to say, well, working at Village Inn at night with a bunch of drunk people is terrible, and I don't want to do that anymore. But I wanted to do it, so that's what I had to do. And I think there's always like a legal way to do things, and I think that there's a moral way to do things, and if you want to do it, then you can do it. And I don't think anything should stop you except you. When you're done doing it, then stop. That's my advice. I don't know. I don't know what my influence is. But I hope it's good. Or at least mostly good. Or good for El Paso. Just kidding.